Right, well, Stephen joins me now here in the studio for the day's business news. Good morning, Stephen.
Hello, Catherine.
And we're going to start off with two things that I like to talk about very much, Germany and lions.
Yes, exactly, and that's to do with the Indian Prime Minister's visit there. He's in Germany after, of course, spending a couple of days here in France. Germany, an important stop on this tour for Narendra Modi because it's India's biggest trading partner in the European Union. Now, he's continuing to push the Make in India campaign while in Germany. That's a campaign designed to encourage foreign companies to set up manufacturing in India. That's despite concerns over the business environment there. And Narendra Modi is trying to prove to German investors that he's managed to make some changes in that area, as Josh Vardy now reports.
A dramatic pitch to German businesses completes with a 3D lion projection. Unleashing his Make in India campaign at the Hanover Trade Fair, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi was keen to make an impression on potential investors on the second leg of his European tour. India's ranked 142 out of 189 countries on the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index, but Modi promised that widespread change was underway on the subcontinent.
We have taken sweeping steps to reform our policies and open up more to foreign direct investments in key areas like insurance, construction, defense and railway.
Despite being effectively outcast for years by the EU due to accusations he encouraged anti-Muslim riots in 2002, Modi's so far received a warm welcome on his first trip as Prime Minister. The Indian economy's seen unprecedented growth since he took power. India's Reserve Bank says the economy grew 7.5% in 2014 to 2015. Trade has more than doubled with the EU in the previous decade, and Germany's contribution to the figures cannot be ignored.
It amounts to 16 billion euros. That makes Germany India's most important trade partner in the European Union. I'm aware that we have competition because the Prime Minister has come directly from France, but competition is good for business.
In Berlin, the Indian Prime Minister is due to have more detailed discussions with Merkel over how her country can work with India to further its development objectives.
Well, he certainly won me over with that lion anyway. We're going to stay in Asia and look to China next. This is where there's been another warning about the state of the country's economy.
And this time it's come in the form of the export figures just published by China. Surprise fall in its exports last month. The figure down 15% year on year in March. That's being seen as the latest sign of the slowdown in China's economy. Imports down to the fastest drop seen there in nearly 6 years. This comes as the World Bank cut its growth forecast for the world's second largest economy to 7.1% for this year and 7% in 2016.
All right, we're seeing an impact on the markets from this news?
Chinese shares pretty optimistic, in fact, on the back of this. This is because any time that you see bad figures on the Chinese economy, investors think that they're going to get more stimulus from the government in Beijing, and that's helped things both in the Hang Seng and the Shanghai Composite. Pretty impressive gains on both markets, in fact, in trading today. First quarter growth figures that will be out from China on Wednesday of this week. Of course, we'll be following what happens with them for you for now. Here in Europe, as the markets have opened slightly softer at the start of the trading week. Shares in Dassault Aviation here in France up 5.5% at the open, though. This after the news that India said that it wants a quick delivery of 36 of its Rafale planes. Discussions have been ongoing over a much bigger order of 126 of those planes for years at this stage now. This contract doesn't seem to be able to be concluded, but there does seem to be one part of it which has managed to help Dassault's shares in trading today. We'll move on. A quick look at some of the day's other business stories. And there's tension at the top of Volkswagen. The company's chairman Ferdinand Piech told a German magazine that he was at a distance from Chief Executive Martin Winterkorn. Mr. Winterkorn is credited with overhauling the car maker during his 10 years at the helm. Sources telling the Financial Times that he intends, though, to continue in the role. New York's Attorney General is taking on big retailers over their on-call system for workers. Eric Schneiderman has written to 13 companies, including Target, Gap and Abercrombie & Fitch, saying that he believes the practice may be illegal. The companies ask on-call staff to text or call in before their scheduled shifts to see if they're needed that day. Workers' groups, though, say the system is unfair. And more companies say they plan to do big takeover deals this year. A survey by consulting firm EY found the appetite for mergers was at a 5-year high. Strong value of the dollar and cheaper oil have helped to grease the wheels of corporate deals.
All right, well, we started this business update with some wildlife. Looks like we're going to end it with some wildlife as well. This is a story from the Australian airline Qantas.
Yes, and this is just for you, Catherine. This is the koala class service being offered to some very special passengers on a flight to Singapore today. The airplanes published photos of the marsupials being offered hot towels and drinks while on their journey. There are 4 koalas going from Australia to Singapore as part of the 50th anniversary celebrating the city-state's independence. They're being loaned to Singapore Zoo. Now, the koalas won't actually be travelling in the cabin as you see them here.
Oh, good.
They're in special climate-controlled containers that will
I was about to have a health and safety moment.
Cargo holds, but they do seem to be kind of enjoying that. He does not seem impressed with the idea of a hot towel, though.
No, I don't think that's what he wants. More like a eucalyptus leaf or something. On a plate, of course.
Of course.
Thanks very much, Stephen Carroll, with the business news there.